Seeley. Monica, are you there for us?
Yes, I am, and thank you for inviting me onto the programme.
Well, that's absolutely fine, and there you are on the screen as well, which is good news, because I couldn't see you for a moment. Now, I have to say, let's start with voicemail. I've got a confession to make, and anyone watching who knows me, I'm sorry. I don't listen to them ever. I just don't want to know about voicemail. Am I being grumpy, or is that the way it's going?
I think you're being a bit grumpy. I quite like voicemail, because through voicemail you can get across a little bit of emotion. So I like voicemail, and I do listen to them.
But I've got a few messages here that people have been tweeting me saying, this one tickled me. Tessa says, last year voicemails at work were okay. This year they're annoyingly passé. The idea that they once served a purpose, but there are snappier ways of sharing information.
Well, I don't entirely agree. I think you also have to look at a generation divide. You know, the youngsters these days are sort of hooked on social media, on texting, whereas some of us who are a little bit more mature still prefer some of the older, more traditional methods of communicating. One of the reasons being the richness of them. Talking to you now, I can hear the intonation of your voice, I can hear if it's time to stop, keep going, things like that.
What about this idea that if I were to ask you for a bit of information, like when's the supermarket open, which I could easily find out by searching it on my phone, would that offend you?
No, it wouldn't. Again, I'm a great believer in talking. It's such a rich medium, so it wouldn't offend me.
But sometimes my friends will be saying that to me, and I'll be thinking, I've got to spend a couple of minutes finding this out. You can find it out, just get your phone out.
But often I've got that information in my head. But yes, if I had to look it up, I might turn around to you and say, why don't you look it up?
And of course, there's this brilliant website, lmgtfy.com. Let me Google that for you, which I think is designed to point out to people that they maybe should look it up themselves. One last thing, this issue of replying to people by email and saying thank you. Some people are now suggesting that's wasting your time, because you see you've got an email, you open it up, and all it says is thanks.
Okay, on that I have a very strong view, and there is a fine dividing line between showing you're appreciated. You know, we're all time poor, but we're all overloaded with emails. So actually, I don't agree with all these thanks emails. I would cut them all out. If I want to say thank you to you, I'll either put it in the original email that's asking you for some help, or if you've really gone the extra mile, and it really is the extra mile, I might send you a postcard and say thank you. Yeah, that assumes you've gone the extra mile. Otherwise, if you've sent me something I've asked you for, you won't get a thank you email, because if I do that, you'll send me another one saying that's my pleasure.
Monica, I know you have gone the extra mile because you've travelled a fair distance to come into the studio, but I'm afraid I'm just going to give you a verbal thank you rather than a postcard. Is that all right?
That's quite acceptable, thank you.
All right. Monica Seeley, thank you very much indeed for your time. And if you want to talk about that further with me, BBC Ros Atkins is where you can find me on Twitter.